So if you want to see how I make my eyeshadow pop and not make it a flap, just keep on watching. Right, so here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do one eye the right way and one eye the opposite. Okay, so rule number one, or tip number one, if you want your eyeshadow to pop, use a concealer. So and then go ahead and set that. Now recently I have noticed that there are a lot of people who have been talking about not setting their concealer so that they can make the shadow stick onto something, and I think that's a great idea, but I don't currently do that, so I'm not going to recommend something that I don't do. But by all means, if you want to try it and see if that works for you, and obviously it does make sense. I mean, if you want something to pop and to stay and to show up, it's got to have something to stick to. But the reason why I don't do it is because I'm afraid that if I put it down and it sticks, will it blend out? Will it? I don't know. So because I've put concealer on this one, I'm not going to put any concealer on that one, just so we can see exactly how it all turns out. So the next tip, use good makeup. I'm not going to sit here and say to you that if you do this with bad makeup or lower quality makeup, like that you're going to get these exact same results. I don't want to say that, because I have used some makeup which is no good and done the exact same steps, and it just has not turned out good because the makeup wasn't good in the first place. So use some good makeup. Good makeup to me is like Kat Von D, Juvias Place, Too Faced Cosmetics, Makeup Revolution. You know, those are some high-end and some drugstore makeup brands which are really, really good quality, and I have gotten some really, really good quality makeup from. So the first thing I'm going to be drawing for is my Zulu by Juvias, and I'm going to be going into this purple here, and I'm going into it with my fluffy blending brush. So what I'm going to do is just stamp this on. Stamping is one of the best ways to apply color to the lid. Like, just stamp it on, because that way you're pushing more color into the area that you want. You're saying stay there now. Okay, then I'm gonna start using small circular motions just at the top. You see where that line is? So I'm going to be using small circular motions there. And I will clean up like the brow and stuff. But yes, stamping, oh my gosh. Because you know, like when you're on Instagram and you see some of these girls' makeup, and nowadays guys as well, you see these people's makeups. That's what my little boy calls. That's what my little boy calls. He calls it makeups. It's not makeup. It's makeups. When you see their makeup, it's just so vibrant and it's just bold and it's just in your face. And it's, how do they get it so bold? And it's like, by stamping, dude. Stamping. So I'm gonna come back to this to blend it out properly. Now I'm gonna do what I used to do, which was just kind of like go over my, just brush it over. Now do you see the difference? Do you see how bold this is compared to this? This is just so sheer. You can see it, don't get me wrong, you can see it. And there may be some people who enjoy having their makeup like this. Oh, by the way, this on my forehead, ignore it. Like, it's bugging me as I'm looking in the mirror, so it must be bugging you, but just ignore it as best as you can. Like, you can see the purple, but it's not as bold and as opaque as it is on this side. Like, this side is doing the thing, it's coming to the party and it's turning up. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Just stamp it on. And I would definitely advise doing your eye makeup before you do your face, because this is just a general thing, just a general tip, and this is something that I've said for such a long time, is doing your eye makeup before you do your face. Because like, look, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got so much dust and fallout on my nose. Imagine if I had already done my foundation, I'd be so irritated. So let's just do the other side. Another tip is, don't be afraid to build. Like, if you feel like there's some areas that are not built up enough, build on it. Ooh, I love that gradient between the purple to the dark blue. Sorry, I forgot to say, it's Ife from the Magic palette. Got some makeup on that palette. I need to get it off. I'm not one of those, oh my god, okay, I'm gonna have to clean it with a wipe. I'm just gonna stop touching it. I'm not one of those people who gets makeup and eyeshadow on their palette and just leaves it there. I've got to clean it, because these palettes, it's like, they cost money. Even though Juvia's place is affordable and stuff, I still have to show it some respect. Like, that's just personally how I feel. For those of you who like to just have your palette and if you get eyeshadow on it, then that's what it is. I can't tell you what to do with your own stuff. Like, that's your stuff, like, cool, but I just can't do it. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with Cleopatra. So now the tip, oh, and this is from the Nubian 2 palette. So now the tip that I was going to say is, wet your brush when you're using shimmers. Wet your brush when you're using shimmers, because it will pop. So this is a dry brush, and this looks good as it is. I can't even front. Whoa, this is still really good considering that it's a dry brush. Wow. Let me just blend that together a little bit so that it's not so like a big blob. So now I'm gonna pick that up on that brush. Oh, now I've got some shadow on the Nubian too. So I've got 2 to clean, but it's not that bad. Okay, so now I'm using the Strawberry Smoothing Face Mist from the Body Shop. I prefer this for wetting my brush rather than on my face. Like, I don't know if you can see it, but there's barely any there. Like, there's like a little drop. And that's okay by me, because I'm only using it to wet my brush. So now that my brush is wet, I'll be going in on the center. Oh my god. Wow. Here's the thing, it's like I've used these eyeshadows so many times, like so many times. So I'm just blending the edges together. I've used these so many times, but even still, no matter how many times I use them, when I apply them, it's just like, oh. Right, so ignoring all of the fallout and all of the mess, now let me go clean that all up. Okay, so let's have a look. So this eye, you can see it is popping. You can see the purple. You can see that gradient, that ombre to the blue, and then that pop of shimmer. And this one here is kind of like a little bit more shade out. It's a little bit more downplayed. You can still see the colors, you can, but it's just not in your face. And I understand that there are some people who prefer this kind of look. They don't want to have bold, bright, in your face colors. They prefer for it to be just a little bit more downplayed. You can still see it, but it's just not jumping out, trying to overtake the whole party kind of thing. So I respect that, because you know what, it's your face. However you want to wear your makeup, it doesn't bother me. But for those of you who are trying to achieve this level of opacity with your makeup, this is how you do it. I remember, as I said earlier, going through Instagram, seeing some beautiful looks which were just as popping and as bright and as bold as this, but not understanding how to create and achieve that level of opacity. And let's just go through what it is that I did. So number 1, I concealed my eyelids. Number 2, I'm using good makeup. Okay, so as I said, Kat Von D, Juvia's Place, Makeup Revolution, Too Faced, just to name a few. There's a million and one really good makeup brands out there who produce really good makeup for with affordable price tags on, and some are of course high-end, but just because it's high-end doesn't mean that it's necessarily good, okay? So let's just keep that in mind. Also, what I did is I stamped on the color. Using my fluffy brush or my crease brush, I would pick that shadow up and I would stamp it onto my lid where I want it to go, and then I would blend it out in small circular motions so that I got that blend the way I wanted to. Oh, also I've just put some concealer underneath my brow, just in case you're wondering like how did I get the ombre underneath my brow. That's how. Also, when I'm using a shimmer shadow, I use a setting spray so that I can make that shimmer just stand out, pop, and just glide on like liquid metal. So that is how I achieve these banging, popping eyeshadow looks rather than a more sheer eyeshadow look. That is how I do it, and hopefully you found this helpful. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.